Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman. Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and I'm joined today by
Tony Frezza
and Austin Bedico.
And today we are talking about getting the most out of SugarWOD. Had to look at my notes there for a second. So we want to talk about SugarWOD and how to use it, some different functions you guys can use that you may not know about, what we look for as coaches when trying to coach you through SugarWOD, and just really how to get the most out of this app that we use. So we want to kick it off by talking about the notes section. We feel like that's a really missed opportunity for our athletes. And the way we talk about it with our coaching staff is we're constantly telling our coaches that think of SugarWOD as an extension of your coaching on the floor. Like if there's something that you wanted to say to an athlete, maybe it's something they did well in the workout and you wanted to tell them after class and you forgot to do it, like say it to them on SugarWOD. It's a great way to extend that relationship past just the hour that our athletes get in the gym. And we wanted our athletes to kind of see it the same way, as it's a great way for you to be able to deliver more information to your coach in order for them to learn more about you and where things went well and where you're struggling, and utilizing that notes section to do it. So I'll kind of turn over to you guys, and what do you feel like are the things that you really like to see in the notes, or where do you feel like there's missed opportunities for athletes to say more in there?
Well, I think it's a huge opportunity because you think about like what people pay for like a personal coach, and like to have it set up on like Fitbot where you report your results and like your coach is looking back. I guess it's not Fitbot now, right? True Coach, right? So you're giving feedback to your coach, and your coach is looking at that and giving you feedback. And there's a huge value there, because that coaching goes way beyond the hour that you're in here. Is that coach can keep providing more value to you outside of that hour. And it's not only valuable to get your feedback from your coach, but I think there's a lot of value in just speaking out what actually happened, and kind of like debriefing the workout just to get it out there. You're sending it to a coach, obviously, and then on SugarWOD, you're just sending it out there. I think there's a lot of value to like kind of debriefing like what happened.
Yeah, that like self-reflection aspect is really cool, and taking the time to recognize some things went well, some things that you're working on. I really like when I see people put in the notes like a cue that a coach gave them, and they're like reminding themselves to do that cue the next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, and because I play a part in the actual programming, is it actually helps improve the programming. So if they give us feedback like, this day, actually, I felt a little tight after the snatches, and it kind of affected this movement. Well, now the next time we go back and program, like, hey, maybe we reconsider putting those two movements that close together so that they can get better results. So not only do we look at like what he was saying, like the actual results that they had in the gym or the interval workout, whatever it was, we look like, how were you feeling? How did you feel going into it? How did you feel after it? Let us know, because we actually use that in our programming meetings as well to give you guys a better product. So.
Yeah, the execution, like we can plan stuff out, we can try out mock rounds, we can even do an entire workout ourselves, and still not fully know how it's going to play out with all these different ranges of athletes. So we might go into a workout and think that they're going to do the barbell part unbroken, they're going to do the gymnastics movement in a couple sets, and then we look at what actually happened, and people are doing singles or they're doing really small sets. And it gives us a lot more feedback to adjust and help, and then also help that athlete on an individual level and figure out, okay, why is this athlete breaking down, whereas another athlete who's on a similar level didn't break down? Was it in the approach? Was it in the technique? and then we can go in and probably do a better job the next time with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was joking with Beach Fit the other day because we have like these 2.0 and 3.0 versions of the workouts, and I'm like, yeah, guys, we just like thought that workout was great, but apparently we had to make it harder. So here is 2.0, here's 3.0, and that's how we figure it out. That's how we figure it out. We need it harder because you guys tell us, it was good, but there was no puke emojis. Then that's how we know it's really good.
Yeah. So I love to see people on there, like in a strength setting, talking about how the weight felt that day or how they felt going into that day. Also making note of like, usually we're recording the heaviest weight in a strength workout, but did you hit that weight once? Did you hit that, sometimes it's every 2 minutes. Did you hit that for all 5 sets of what we asked? Did you hit that for just your last set? And a lot of times just that standalone number means very little without some kind of explanation of what else happened. Maybe it was a back squat day and it was a 5 rep max and your 5th rep was a little iffy. Coach told you, your partner told you, record that in there. Hey, I was probably a little high. So next time maybe you hit the exact same number, but it was full depth, like that's a PR, that's a win, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't note that you were maybe possibly short on your squats the last time we tested it.
I think it's also important when you take that into account is knowing that you're not always going to have a good day. So mostly on like a strength, that's a good example is we actually just had a front squat cycle in recently and it was a 4x4, went to a 4x3 and then we retested. And I was trying to explain to someone who was really upset that they, in the 4x3, like they had a bad day. And I'm like you don't understand, like we still have one more and there's going to be days and where it happened to land in the week could play a role, how your sleep was that day, like just note it in there like, hey, this wasn't 100% that day. Next week, you never know. You could hit a 20-pound PR, which funny enough, the person hit a 20-pound PR the next week. So it's like you can't just be upset at yourself because of that day, but if you put no notes in there and you look back, it just looks like you did terrible. But it could have been something that, played a role into that. And if you would have just left yourself notes, you'd be like, okay, well, I had no sleep that night and that's why. So.
Yeah. And then we go into now like a Metcon setting. I love when I see notes about like pacing in terms of like sometimes it's interval work where we're actually writing down the different times for each round. Sometimes it's just 5 rounds for time, but they're long enough rounds where you had an estimate of like, I tried to break up in this strategy, it ended up being too fast or too slow. Next time around I'd probably attack it a little bit harder. Just those little elements really go a long way, and you're treating every workout like a learning opportunity, not a competition, right? The notes really help that to justify the approach and what you're here to do rather than just the absolute score that you're posting on the board. And I'm less likely to fist bump you if you just post a score with your notes.
Yeah, I think that it does do a service on the front end. Like as you go into a workout, you're a little bit smarter, knowing that, hey, in SugarWOD, I'm going to kind of type in what I did and how I did it and what do I want to type in. I think this past week's workout was a great example where you had row, then burpees over the bar, and then heavy cleans. And it was like, those times can vary, but what is the story behind the times? If you don't leave that for yourself, you don't know if you need to improve your row. Do you need to improve, burpee time, or did you go too heavy on the cleans or what, So you got to have that story behind it.
Yeah, I mean, for that workout's such a good example. For some people, pacing means I'm going to go slow on the row. For some people, it means I'm going to take my time on transitions. For some people, it means I'm going to keep my burpees at a fast speed, but instead of doing 15 unbroken, I'm going to do it as 5 break, 5 break, 5 break. For someone else, it means I'm going to do singles on cleans, or I'm going to do 3s with a break. Like there's so many different ways to pace, and you can play around with different strategies. You can give yourself some feedback, and that's regardless of whether a coach steps in and adds additional feedback to it. We talk about the opportunity being there for that, but even without it, you can become your own coach and begin to help yourself just by getting smarter. So let's talk about one element that we incorporate into SugarWOD, which is no score days. All right, a lot of times we're doing this like on average in CrossFit, like once a week. Sometimes we do it in Beach Fit just because like a lot of times in Beach Fit just the scoring doesn't line up really well. But in CrossFit, sometimes we'll do it purposely on a day that we could score, but we choose not to score. So what's the deal with that?
I think the biggest thing for us, and I know we'll touch on it a little bit later, is just trying to take the competitive aspect out. Maybe for just one day, and usually it is on Thursday, which is our flush day. Ideally, we're trying to take that a little bit easier. Just taking the pressure out of having to put a score in does a lot for a workout. So if you can just come in and know you're just getting a workout in, I think people can approach it a little bit different. Whereas even if we did an easy workout and we said, hey, it's for time, people are going to speed up regardless, right? So if we can take that out and let you just put notes in, say how you felt, I think personally it changes quite a bit.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. And we can say quality over quantity all day long, but until you take that score away, that's when it really like sinks in that this is a quality day. Let's just move well.
Definitely, and also we'll use it on days where we have like 2 parts or 3 parts potentially, and we want people to focus their attention and energy on one of those parts. So to really emphasize that, we'll take the score off, you know, the second half of a Metcon when we're testing a 5-rep max or 3-rep max, so people really put their focus and energy in that first part and realize that if you do go really hard in that first part, you're not going to want to hit that second part at 110% because you should already feel pretty drained after that first part. So a lot of times those finishers are just meant to kind of put a cherry on top to the day, focus on some quality movement, get a little sweat going. It's not meant to be that competitive day.
You'll also see like tempo work in those type of workouts, you know, where we don't want the tempo rushed. You know, we want the tempo done to as it's specified, and you know, that will slow you down and move better.
Yeah. I also recommend taking notes on those days still, right? There's still tough stuff that we can learn from. So
Definitely.
Put your fun emojis into the little lines, submission line, but take some notes and learn from it and use every day as an opportunity to improve, even though you might not be trying to set records in a given day.
Yeah, there's almost always a weight involved, the type of band you use, you know, like list the purple band or the green band, whatever it was you used, like list that stuff, because you will look back on it for the next time you do that movement and want to know.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we love SugarWOD, and one of the reasons we decided to use it is because it's we feel like it's a good community builder for our coaching staff, our members, for members to get to know different people from different class times. So it's not about, you know, comparing yourself to someone, but it's cool to be able to support someone else, to give someone else a fist bump, to recognize them when you see them PR, even if you don't know who they are. You know, you can leave them a nice comment. Great for learning faces and names. So it's just a really good community builder for us. Did it help you learning names when you were? I mean, you didn't have it right when you started, but.
No, definitely. Yeah, for sure. It wasn't even the names. It was the last names. That's the weird one that I was stuck on. We have so many Jins and the same names over and over again. So like comparing their little face to the name, that did help out a lot. So I will say that.
Cool. So let's talk about features of SugarWOD, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are using it and are using it to like the bare minimum. So what are some of the features that you guys are using that you don't think other people may not know about?
Like just that there's different tracks, especially for someone that's like in Beach Fit, or maybe they're in CrossFit and they don't ever take Beach Fit classes. There's actually different tracks for CrossFit, Beach Fit, our extra credit, which is for CrossFitters, and our Beach Fit remote, which is our travel workouts, which are posted 3 times a week, where we take 3 Beach Fit workouts every week and make them suitable for travel workouts.
Yeah, and that's basically, it's in the app, it's picture, quote, and then that track is right there. It's a little drop-down menu that you can hit. You can see the 4 different tracks, and the Beach Fit remotes are Monday through Wednesday, if you want to see any of those.
I think for me, I think people know it's there. I don't think people realize how easy it is to look back, but I just use it as my workout journal. So we've been talking about notes, but if you guys go to like the profile part of it, the little me part at the bottom, all of your lists are in there. All of the workouts that have names that we've saved are in there. So if you click on, let's say like a clean, you can see all the times you cleaned. You can base your percentages off that. If we have a percentage day, it lists all the percentages there for you, so it's easy to find that. But then you can also look back and see the notes on the days that you had. So that's why it's important to leave notes, is you can see if there's the graph showing it. Like if there's a bad day, click on it, see why, and now you have an idea going forward of what you need to focus on that day. Or like you said earlier, when people leave those cues on there, well, now you have the heads up going in like, okay, I should focus on this today. So I think that's the one I use the most.
Yeah, that me section is really cool because you have your attendance there. Attendance just based on what you've tracked. That's not linked to Zen Planner, so it's only the workouts you've tracked. But if you track every single time you come in, you're going to see it as like an attendance log, which is really cool. And then what you're saying with the benchmark section, you have like barbell PRs, and then you have benchmark workouts, like named workouts. And actually, once you click on the named workouts, there's like a ton of just old CrossFit workouts. It's not stuff we put in there. That's just built into SugarWOD, like old open workouts, old games workouts, benchmark girls, the benchmark workouts like Fight Gone Bad. But then if you scroll to the right, you'll actually see a section that we get to customize for the gym, where you'll see a lot of common workouts that we do in here that we consider benchmarks for us because we repeat them every couple times a year, but aren't ones that like people around the world may not necessarily know about.
Yeah, and those can become like travel workouts as well. Like I need a workout idea or an open gym idea. See what's in there. See what's in there for benchmark workouts, and you might get an idea for a workout. Also, to the note of like us making our own benchmarks is like we sometimes don't even know when something's going to become a benchmark, until after the fact. So that's why it's so important to list notes and track every single workout, because you never know when something's going to get repeated. Just because we don't say it's not a benchmark up front doesn't mean we won't see it again.
Definitely. And when a benchmark shows up, so if you have a workout and you're wondering if you've logged it before and you're on that day, it will actually have a little blue hyperlink under the workout that says like, you logged 275 pounds for a front squat last time we did it on this date. If you click on that link, it will pull up your exact notes that you left for that day. There's also a button that says prepare just under that, and that's on any given day, whether it's a benchmark or not. And prepare will bring up all of your old results. So if it's something like a strength piece, like a back squat that's really common, you're gonna see like I did this weight for 3, I did this weight for 1, I did this weight for 7. That's really cool. I love that section. And if it's a conditioning piece, you're gonna see all your old times listed there, not just the most recent one. And then also if you're brand new, what's really cool about the prepare section is they have videos. So you can, if you're like, what is a deadlift again? What is a snatch again? What is a burpee again? You can actually watch the video. Or maybe you're like, I know what it is, but like, I want to review the points of performance. I want to do it as well as I possibly can. You can get a really good video on there in that prepare section for each day.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that was a link when it shows you what you did last time. I didn't know that was a link at first. And then like over time I realized, oh, you can click that and then you get to see your full score and full notes from last time too. And I found the notes to be so helpful.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the potential pitfalls of SugarWOD. Potential cons. Things get ugly. Where do we start? Where do you guys see as some of the negative things?
Well, I mentioned like how knowing that you're going to post in SugarWOD can be a benefit to your workout because you're going to, maybe shoot for quality, work on your pacing. There can also be a drawback to where you just want to get the best score. You want to be top of the leaderboard and you're going to fight at all costs to get there. So I think kind of leaderboarding, making sure you're near the top or over certain people can get really unhealthy to your SugarWOD usage.
I think piggybacking on that is you'll notice some days, and I noticed it a lot on the PR front squat day, or I say PR front squat day because so many people hit PRs that day that SugarWOD was full. Like there was like 100 plus posts on the front squat day because everyone was posting really successful things. But if you go back a couple weeks when it was like the grind, there was like 60. So there's like 40 people who don't really post until something good happens. But it's those bad days that are just as important to post so that you know what's going on. So I think one of the negative things I see is you only want to post when something's going good and you don't want to say anything when something's not going as good. And I think they're just as important, if not more important than the good days. So that's one of the negatives I see.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, I like what you brought up because there's definitely times, Tony, where like I think it's a positive for me. Like when I have a day where I really want to hit it hard and I know I'm going to be entering that score, there's an accountability and like a goal to it. But I think really in any given week, someone really should only have like 1, maybe 2 of those in any given week. And then other days, that score can negatively affect you, as you're pointing out, because I think you want to have a goal or an objective for that particular class or that workout that doesn't hinge on what the scoreboard says afterwards. You don't want to be tied to that result And you should be able to recognize something positive about your execution, your mindset, your self-talk, the unbroken set you did. Maybe it was like one unbroken set that you did really well that you have never done before, or just doesn't always happen. Like you did 5 toes to bar when normally 3 is a struggle. Like, you know, grab onto those little wins and celebrate those. And that only comes if you can defocus on the end result.
Yeah, and I think kind of like number fluffing, we call it, in like strength WODs, where you're doing, all right, guys, we're gonna do 5 sets at, you know, like at a heavy weight, right?
Yeah.
And it ends up being where the person stays below their potential until that last set, and that last set is the top of the leaderboard. And it's like, you know, you could have got so much more out of the strength WOD, strength-wise, had you really like worked every set like you were supposed to, you know, instead of just kind of playing under your potential and then pop, there it is on the last one for the scoreboard.
Yeah, there's days to do that and there's days to not do that, and that's usually being stated, right? We want you to be at the same weight across, or we want you to build towards a heavy for the day. And it's a very different experience when you get to a tough weight and you stay there, even if it's not the most you can do, but when you have to hit it 3, 4, 5 sets in a row, those are tough days. And like you said, if you're just worried about the end result, you're probably not going to hit that same weight across.
I think the biggest place it shows up, which is kind of funny, is if we do a 1 rep max day or a 2 rep max day or whatever it may be, the people who are at the top of the leaderboard then and the people who are at the top of the leaderboard on 70% days are completely different, right? Which it should not be. If you're at the top of the heavy day, you should also be at the top of the 70% day. But those are the days that people like to push those percentages, like you said, fluff them up a little bit, so you're on the top that day, which it's not needed, right? And if you want to improve at the lift, those are the days you need to take even more serious.
Yeah, especially on your technical lifts, like your snatch and clean. Like that's where we're really looking for you guys to stay below maximal weights to really hone in on the technique.
Yeah, the magic happens on those lifts, especially in that 70 to 90% range. That's where the magic happens. You know, the anything above that are your rare occurrences, and if you're always pushing for that, you know, you end up just limiting your potential.
Yeah.
Anything else in the negative category for you guys?
This is, I don't know if we really said this, but like kind of just shaving reps, or just not, you know, saying you did this many rounds and it was not really true, or you shaved a couple reps off when it was supposed to be 15, you did 12 and just moved on to the next thing. So, I mean, it's why we got rid of the whiteboard in the first place, to kind of just get this like community that really just supports the effort rather than the end result. And we love SugarWOD, but we don't want that to take away from, you know, supporting and appreciating and giving like accolades to the effort.
Yeah, and that's another thing I could see going wrong with this. I've seen happen is that you can get better by wanting to do better, or you can get better by wanting to see others do worse. And if you're going on to compare, almost naturally you're going to go on with a little bit of an inclination to want to see others do worse than you, rather than having like, and that's kind of this fixed mindset versus like an abundance mindset of like, I did what I could. My effort, I am proud of my effort. I'm going to enter my score with pride. I might still look at other scores, but I'm not doing it from a comparison mindset, because once we begin to compare, we're in a way starting to try to tear others down to be better, rather than just being as good as we can possibly be. And I think that the more that people can go on there like excited to share in someone else's success, excited that someone beat them, because it's like, wow, that person beat me on that workout, that's awesome. Like I did not expect that, you know, this person to do that. They've gotten so much better. I'm proud of them for that, versus like, damn, I can't believe that person beat me.
Yeah, I thought of one more too, and it's funny because as a gym, we've changed it, and it's the buttons on there that give you the option of RX or scaled, and that's the only 2. Whereas in the gym, we have now 3 different options, and you guys can choose which one. That one kind of limits it down to the 2, like, did you do it the right way or did you not? And I think people get down on themselves because they can't click the RX button. And someone actually texted me the other day, like, was this RX or scaled? I'm like, how'd you feel about it? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, did you feel like you did an RX? They're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't really care what you put. I'm like, just give me good notes on it. Like, that's really all that matters. And if someone's getting upset because you clicked the wrong button, then that's on them. So
Yeah,
that's the last beat off.
And just a note on that is that if you do a strength workout and you like do what we're
You're
doing,
RX, yeah.
you're RX. Like, I don't care what weight you hit, you're RX. So I don't care what the Metcon was or whatever. Like, enter your score.
Yeah, and if anyone's wondering, performance is usually RX and above performance in sport.
As a general rule.
As a general rule, yeah.
But
I don't think we've even really said that.
No.
Cool. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about on the SugarWOD topic?
The quotes are amazing. Austin does the quotes every day, and I look forward to them, and they give me inspiration. I look at the quotes. I try not to look at other scores. I find that like going into a workout, I want to just have my own plan and rather try to see what someone else did. Maybe it works for some people, but for me, I like just going into the workout.
Yeah, I usually only look after the fact just to get like a point of reference, and like it's kind of like in the open, like you never know you can push harder until you see someone.
What he wanted to say was to see if he beat me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he wanted to say.
Like, I don't care about anyone except my brother.
Point of reference.
I'm getting to the point where that doesn't happen much anymore, so I don't really look. But I mean, I just want to leave everybody with a goal, which is every time you enter a score on there, find something positive that you can enter with it, right? Not necessarily you PR'd, try to enter something that was within your control in that workout that you did really well, right? I'm happy with my approach today. I'm happy with the way I stayed unbroken. Like, that can sometimes be a mental effort more than a physical effort on something. But anything that you did well, you can find something positive in every single workout. And I think that if you start that habit, it will take your focus away from that end result, and you'll get in the habit of leaving notes for us as well, which is great.
And then I also think use that as a chance to tell your friend how good they did. Give them a fist bump, leave them a comment, give me extra fist bumps, whatever you guys got to do. But yeah.
How do you get so many? I don't get it.
I don't know, man.
Give and you shall receive.
Out here hustling.
Right?
Thanks for joining us, guys. See you later.